Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to this meet and greet with Janina Fisher, who, of course, is presenting for us and with us, and hopefully with some of you in Cancun in February. This will be an opportunity to learn more about what Janina will be doing there. I'll also spend some time talking about other aspects of the program and the latest COVID update. This session, as all the sessions we're doing now, is closed caption. So if you'd like to read in English, the words as we speak, go to the live transcription part of your Zoom screen. Emily, who will be hosting our session, you might see on the screen, we'll put that information in the chat line. So welcome everybody, and welcome Janina. And for everybody, Janina and I were just speaking just a minute ago, and she said something I thought is that when she agreed to go to Cancun in February last year in the midst of COVID, some of her friends said, "Are you crazy going to Cancun next February?" And I'm glad to say that our program is going full speed ahead, and there's been a lot of good news lately. I'll tell you about a little bit later about both the COVID situation in Mexico, the vaccine situation everywhere, the flights and everything else. But I first want to focus on the program and welcome Janina. So first, Janina, I want to welcome you and ask you to tell us a little bit about the program you're presenting in Cancun and why you chose that particular one.
Well, I chose it because it's one of my favorite, speakers have favorite workshops. We create a lot of different workshops on different topics, but some are closer to our hearts than others. This is one of my very, very favorites because I'm trying to really give a new perspective on resistance and stuckness, and really on some of the reasons why we as therapists have such a hard time when we have stuck and resistant clients, because essentially if they're stuck, we're stuck, and if they resist us, we're helpless to help them, and no therapist is comfortable being helpless to help. That's one thing I can confidently say.
Can you tell us then, tell us a little bit more about the program and what it kind of looked like those 5 half days that you'll be presenting.
So this 5 morning model is a model I love because we get to know each other as a group. Rather than having a day or a half a day and then just saying goodbye and going off to our next event. In these 5 days, we really get a chance to dig a little deeper, to talk about cases, to do some exercises. I can do demonstrations. You would get to role play your most difficult clients, and I would have to work with them. It can be a lot of fun. And I love the topic. I love the idea of trying to understand resistance and stuckness as a really an intrapsychic issue, and how to make sense of it so that we don't end up kind of pushing against the stuckness or pushing against the resistance and end up in kind of a very polite struggle with the client. And I'm sure you all are familiar with that polite struggle, right? We try not to be overtly pushy, but that tension is there.
Have your views about feeling stuck as a therapist, I wonder how they changed over the years, thinking about just generally our ideas grow and change. And over the last 20 months around COVID, with therapists maybe experience a different kind of stuckness, all online all the time. I'm wondering how, I know you've talked about this topic before and presented on it. I wonder how it's evolved and changed over the years and more recently.
Well, I think um, part of what's evolved in my thinking comes from my interest in the trauma world and in understanding behavior and symptoms as survival responses. So if I think of resistance as a survival response, I'm going to have much more empathy for the person resisting rather than feeling frustrated, defeated, inadequate, and all the other things that we can feel when our best efforts are defeated. And then I think, COVID, I think, has taught all of us that, that when we're stuck, as we have been, um, that we have two choices: to get depressed, to resent it, to resent the stuckness, or to try to do something creative with our stuck situation. My granddaughter, who's all of 15, became a gourmet baker during the pandemic because she very quickly got tired of being stuck in the house, going to school online. And so she started making the most incredible baked goods, just morning, noon, and night. And it brought us a lot of joy. And it also gave her a purpose, excitement, energy. And so I think this idea that we can be creative when we get stuck was born out of necessity in this past year and a half, 2 years. I'm sure all of us have gotten creative in different ways. I built a tea house in my backyard with a heater in it so that we could dine outdoors 365 days a year. Of course, there's no snow where I live, so that makes it easier. In fact, I would never have thought to build a tea house in my backyard and dine outside in December. That would not have been a life goal.
Well, we'll have a lot of chance to be outside in Cancun.
I know, it'll be warm.
In terms of dealing with, resistance, difficult clients, what I've noticed is that there've been a lot more resources, ideas, and tools in the last few years that have really making a difference to the therapists that we've been talking to. The impact of Bessel van der Kolk's work, and now, and you know him very well, you worked with him, his book is a bestseller in the New York Times for all nonfiction books. Right. I think it was #2 over the summer. If you look at the explosion in interest in IFS and Frank Anderson, who'll be in Cancun and is a good buddy of yours, Stephen Porges's work. I think all this must give therapists new ways of working. And I wonder what some of your observations about the last few years and how therapists are supported with new ideas.
I think it's very exciting that we have all these methods. I was just reminiscing for a program I taught yesterday on the fact that the trauma field started out basically winging it. So back in the early 90s, we would try something with a trauma client. And if it worked, we would say, oh, great, this is trauma treatment. And then we might try something else apparently unrelated. And if it worked, oh, good, here's something else that's part of trauma treatment. And so we were integrating, we were pulling from hypnosis and from CBT and from psychodynamic and analytic work. We were just grabbing at straws. But the idea was the client was what we were interested in, figuring out how to treat very, very traumatized people who, if you recall, back in 1990, we really knew nothing about how to understand trauma. So now we have all these methods, but we have a problem because these methods are in competition with each other. And each one says, we're the best, we're the only, right? Use IFS for everything all the time. Use EMDR for everything all the time. Use prolonged exposure for everything traumatic all the time. And so these methods are now in conflict. And part of what Frank Anderson and I are trying to do is, although we have methods that we recommend and teach, we're also trying to say, don't forget, nobody's right. Right? Big news, everyone. Right? Nobody is right. I'm very glad that Pat Ogden and sensory motor psychotherapy very explicitly says we do not claim to be the best. And I'm very glad, because I think in the end it's the client, right? It may be the best method ever invented, but if it doesn't work for the client, we have other methods that we can bring in. We have other methods that we can combine methods. And so I feel like that's the wave of the future, I hope. I feel like now we're all in our own silos, kind of looking through little windows saying, I'm the best. And that's really counterproductive.
Well, it's very refreshing to hear you say that. And I'm hearing this more and more, actually, both from presenters and from people on our Zoom screen, that they're open for integrating ideas. The person who's done a lot of our training on EMDR, Roy Kiesling, is creating a different way to approach EMDR as integrating into your practice. You don't have to be orthodox, and this is how it works. You need to figure out what works for you. And you and Frank and Lisa Ferentz and others are saying, let's look at the individual needs of our clients. Let's look at all our various tools and use what makes sense and not be orthodox. And I think this is a very nice development.
Right, I do too, and I feel like it works better for the clients.
Yeah. So I want to say a few things for those of you who might be curious about what we're doing in Cancun. I'll say a few things about that, and then we're going to open up for questions both about anything Janine has said or anything about her program or anything I'm going to tell you about our program in Cancun. So number one, one of the ideas of having something in February, half days and being at an all-inclusive resort, was, besides for getting away in the winter, and actually when we had Lisa Ferentz on the screen, she just said, oh my God, just to get away. I mean, that's enough, because I'm just so tired of being at home. But people have different needs when they go on vacation. So, and come to a program like this. So first you have the mornings with the training with you, Janina, and our other speakers. But then people have choices. Some just might want to go to the beach, read a book, relax, and others might want more connection with people who are in the room with them or in the other rooms. And the week you're there, Frank Anderson will be presenting, and Diana Fisher will be presenting. And then the three of you will be joining together to talk about like the state of therapy on the Wednesday night. And then every evening, there's an opportunity for everyone to get together at a designated place for kind of like happy hour meet and mingle. And this is all inclusive, which means all the drinks and all the food and everything is included already. So that's a second or a third way we're trying to embellish this. And then we're inviting each week a very important person, Janina. And your week, we're going to have Farzana Doctor, who is a very interesting Canadian woman, because she's both a therapist, and I met her years ago when she was working in a group home, but then became a very successful novelist, writing about all kinds of interesting topics and themes related to women, all kinds of stuff. And actually, she wrote a book called All Inclusive, a novel about being in an all-inclusive resort in Mexico. So Farzana will be making a couple of presentations, and she's also there because we kind of like the idea of, wouldn't you like to sit down and talk to someone like Farzana? So Jeannie, if you said, Farzana, let's have lunch together, or anyone there says, do you want to have a walk on the beach? mean, Farzana will be there to spend time with people and to present. She'll have her own time too, just to relax and get away. But that's another feature. And finally, we're going to have some excursions with a very good company in the area. If people want to go to other places, but you'll be going all with people in our group. So I know when I go to places, it's really nice to sit and have a conversation with other people besides for my wife or family, and just say, oh, it's great to be away, talk, be with others. And that's going to be another feature. In terms of the COVID safety, we've really keeping an eye on Cancun and what's happening in the area. In the last 2 weeks, COVID cases have gone down 55% in that area. Yesterday, there were no COVID cases. Our hotel, which is run by a big American chain, has a very strict COVID safety policy. And as of now, 98% of their staff have been vaccinated. And by the new year, it will be 100%. We're only allowing people to go to our programs if they've been double vaccinated, or if they have a medical exemption and can get on a plane and agree to wear a mask at all our functions. So we're doing everything we can to make it as safe as possible. So those are some things about some of the other features and being in Cancun. Even over and above having those mornings with Janina. And I know, Janina, you've been to Toronto many times, and I love the way whenever there's a break, you have a storm group of people storm to the front of the room because they want to talk to you, and you're always so gracious and so nice. And people end up smiling an awful lot. That's true with Frank as well, in terms of just the way you get along with people in our rooms. And that's another reason why you were tops in my list.
Oh, it's part of the fun. Right.
That's so nice. Okay, people out there watching might have any questions about anything we've talked about today, and we're going to open up for questions. And there's 2 ways you can do that. You can go to the chat box and say, I have a question, and you can write it if you prefer to do that or be in the screen. It's always nice to see faces on the screen. I see people I know on the screen right now, and that makes me feel very good. Or you can use the raised hand function, or you can do the old-fashioned bat wave if you'd like to either make any comments to anything you've heard or ask any questions. So right now, Emily, do we have any questions yet? Not yet.
Not yet.
Okay.
I just have to say that
Sure.
I am so thrilled that this is something that we can all do safely. That is really, Cancun, that whole area around Cancun, I love and have loved for years. It's so beautiful. But the fact that we can go to this beautiful place and know that we're going to be safe is just an extra special gift.
For sure. And I'll say something else about Cancun. When we're looking for places, I checked out TripAdvisor because if there are thousands of reviews, that makes me feel more confident. This place was 4.5 out of 5 in terms of the people's comments. And then I looked at videos, which anyone can look at on YouTube, where people who were there last year had their phones and went around. They showed their room, they showed the dining room. And that was very, very positive. And also the other thing, which I kind of was an afterthought, is one problem with Cancun is in the central Cancun area, there are a lot of hotels, and it kind of feels like Miami, which I'm not crazy about for going away. But this is in Puerto Morelos, which is south of Cancun, and it's only about 12 miles from the airport. So it's a lot more convenient. And I think it's going to be, just a nicer setting than some of the other Cancun hotels. So that was, just another thing which I thought would make this kind of special.
I see Roz has her hand up. Roz, did you want to unmute?
Yes.
Hi.
Hello, Roz. Hi.
Hello there, Janina. Janina, oh my goodness. So what I want to know is, tell me something about one idea about helping people with stuckness, because you tell me you're going to do that in Cancun, and I'm just so curious.
Well, should I really reveal?
Please, please, please.
Yes.
So the secret I finally found after 20, 30 years of practice was one day I had this thought. Wait a minute, this client has a right to be stuck. Who am I? Who am I to
Yes.
say that that's not okay? And so, and
Yeah.
I just let go of my need to get somewhere because I realized, oh, she's stuck. Well, if that's her right, then my job is not to keep trying to get her to be unstuck. And it was so liberating. And actually not all, some of those stuck clients actually began to grow more when I let go of any need in myself for them to change. And that was also a very important life lesson.
So I want to tell you, I was just speaking with one of my clients yesterday who was stuck. And she just came out and said, I am stuck. And so I started talking about the nervous system and the survival response and that sort of thing. And because we've been talking about that, Steve Porges' work, Deb Dana's work. And so as I did that, and she said, oh, yes, thank you for reminding me of that. Because we have had much discussion about the nervous system. And she said, oh, it was just brilliant. I forgot that I've had glimmers of okay times. Because when I'm stuck, I forget that there are other times too. And it was so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
It was so amazingly beautiful to hear her say that. And then, of course, I wanted to jump on, oh, so now you can do this, this, and that. And I just didn't. I just went on and on about how marvelous and brilliant she was and just left it at that. And so we left laughing and smiling,
That's
in a place of ventral. It was very beautiful.
Yes, might we all hold on to our glimmers, right?
Yes.
And not let them get spoiled by all the non-glimmering moments.
Yes, yes, yes.
Thank you very much
Thank you,
for
Roz.
that follow-up.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, Janina, so
Emily.
glad to talk with you. Okay, thank
Good
you.
to see you. Say hi to your
Thank
Okay,
Uh,
so, yeah, I'll tell him. Yes.
So real fast, I see most competing approaches as inherently complementary, other than you can't do everything at once. But especially for an older person with whom dysfunctional effects are widely embedded, a wide variety of approaches may be needed for cleaning this up. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I couldn't agree more. I think sometimes we have to be creative. And actually, I think that makes our work more enjoyable because, we become therapists because we want to help. But I think we also become therapists to be part of a creative process. And when we have a chance to be part of a creative process, and especially I think to me, it's meaningful to be part of a creative process with somebody who's older, right? So, our plasticity, our capacity to change physically and mentally slows down as we age, as I know all too well. And so to be able to be more creative and to help our older clients feel creative at a time in life where you tend not to. I just got the most wonderful, someone sent me the most wonderful Facebook post. I'm not a big fan of Facebook, but this post is worth 100 glimmers because it basically says, a study from the New England Journal of Medicine, I think, found that the peak ages for productivity, however that's defined, are between 60 and 80. There is good news in our future. Isn't that wonderful? So here I thought I was getting old. It turns out I'm in my peak period.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We had a question about, are there any provisions in Cancun to coming with a partner who's not attending the training?
Okay, yeah, actually, I'm glad you asked that question. I think it was Jana. Yeah, this is a vacation and it's February and people say, I want to bring my partner, my friend, my kids, whatever. So here's the thing. All our non-workshop activities, the meet and mingles, we're going to have yoga every day in the beach, even the Wednesday night session, really for therapists, everything is available at no extra cost for partners because we like them to join in the fun as well. It's not just you're going to a workshop. You will be doing that in the morning and they'll do what they want in the mornings, but anything we do is open to everyone and their partners. And if you have kids, they have a kid club there with all kinds of activities and going on, and there's no extra charge for that as well. So yeah, the idea, the workshop part's important, but the vacation part, especially, I mean, I live in Canada and last winter was tough not going away. So yeah, let's make it fun for everybody.
And Jacqueline had a question. So Jacqueline, did you want to unmute?
Hi. We will try this if my dog cooperates. Hi, Janina and everyone. So I had some logistics questions, actually. My questions were about whether there are any COVID provisions for other guests of the hotel while we will be there, just so I have a sense of what that will be like. And I wanted to know about how many people were expected in the trainings.
Okay, good question. Well, I know they have a lot of safety. You can look on our website and their website, all the things they're doing. In terms of other guests, I don't know if they're requiring them to be double vaccinated, but I don't think you'll be able to get on a plane, certainly not from Canada, if you're not double vaccinated. So that's my best answer about that. I can't say exactly, but I have a feeling by February, American Airlines, along with Canadian Airlines, will be allowing people not double vaccinated. In terms of in terms of our own rooms, they have very big ballrooms, just like big hotels, Jacqueline. So we have 2 rooms that each hold 300 people if it was theater style, like, in big rows. We've booked about 50 places for each of these workshops to begin with. So we didn't know, we've never done this before. Now there might be some more people, but we're not expecting hundreds of people. I mean, that would kind of be a shock to me. In a way, that would be nice, but in a way, we want to keep it kind of a manageable size. And also, this hotel is getting booked up. We've reserved those seats and those rooms, they're on hold for us. But I think there'll become a time when other people will be booking all the rooms we haven't booked. We've booked about 20% of their rooms. So I just don't expect it to be much, too large based on all this kind of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I think the important thing is some things like mask requirements. Is that what you're thinking, Jacqueline?
Yes, I didn't know whether people needed to be vaccinated or show proof of health or wear masks. I haven't been to a hotel in a while.
One thing to also add is that the hotel also does offer both of the COVID tests, and your reservation your registration also includes the departure testing, but we are in talks with them about getting them done upon arrival as well, just to ensure that everyone is feeling safe and secure during the entire training, so that everyone can have fun.
Yeah, we're looking at all these possibilities. They do have the tests, because right now to return to Canada, the States, you need certain tests, and yeah, they're offering right there at the hotel. And look at what the hotel says, because they list their policies, and it's on our website and on the Dreams Resort website.
Thank you.
And also, one of the nice things I know about Mexico is that most of the dining is outdoors. So we're going to be masked and socially distanced in the teaching rooms, and then eating and most of the activities we do will all be outdoors.
Yeah, and if you look, if you haven't been to an all-inclusive, they always give you lots of food options and drink options because it's included anyway. So there's a restaurant by the pool. There's food all over the place. You can decide to hang out most of the time outside because most of the facility is outside anyway, with the exception of some of their exclusive dining rooms because they have like 5 different choices of different kinds of foods. So in that way, I think there's an opportunity to spend a good deal of your time outside. Emily, maybe time for one more question and then we'll be finished for today.
I don't
Please,
see any more
anything else?
questions right now.
Okay. Well, Janina, thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure.
I'm excited to think I'll see you in a few months outside and there.
I know.
That'll be
In
so
a
much
warm
fun and
place.
different.
Yeah.
Pardon?
In a warm place.
In a warm place. Well, we had our first cold snap, and you're in California, so you're pretty lucky. We had our first cold snap a few days ago, and to me, I think I have amnesia along with a lot of other people about winter until I get out my winter clothing, and then I realize it's going to happen. So anyway. Listen, thank you all. I appreciate your interest and your smiles for those of you on the screen and your questions. And I hope this has been helpful to you in any way. And everyone take care. And if you're interested in seeing Janina's old buddy and Frank Anderson, who's going to be there the same week, he's going to be with us tomorrow, talking about what he's doing there. That's available to you, as well as for the rest of our speakers. Bessel Vanderkolk will be on the screen in a while too. So we want to just be as open as possible about what we're doing and giving you a chance to see our speakers as well. So thanks a lot, Janina. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Janina.